It's not a bold or a hot take to say the Jets had a great NFL draft this past weekend. It's actually a fact. They invested a lot of assets into their team. Premium positions, wide receiver, edge, running back, corner. Those are major positions that help you win in this league. So it's not a hot or bold take to say that the Jets had a great draft because it's a fact. It's a common agreed point. Much of the media is saying, great job, Jets. It's not a great take or a smart take to sit there and say, LOL Jets, they're going to suck anyway. It's just the Jets, though. We're talking about the Jets. It's a small truth because of history, but we're not discussing history here. And then there's PFF that wants to be the contrarian for the sake of being contrarian and say that we're actually terrible. Let's look. We're going to play it through, and we'll see what he says.
You're the Jets. You suck. You are terrible. You used a premium pick on a running back, and I don't want to be this guy.
You used a high pick on a running back last year.
I don't want to be this guy. But are you fucking kidding me?
Fourth round pick is a high pick.
That was the problem with your team? Your team sucks ass. Yeah. Like, take Malik Willis. Take another quarterback, because guess what? Zach
premium position.
Garbage last
year. We're going to invest in premium position and quarterback when we picked a quarterback last year. That's smart.
Second round as one of the worst teams. You need everything.
We need everything, really. Tell me what we need.
Like the players
we needed everything. We got
available to them.
A lot of players.
Pete was still there. Petre was still there. Boyamafe was still there. Andrew Booth was still there.
Tyler Gordon.
Mechie was still there. Ojabo was still there. Like, there were so many players that could actually provide you value. Pickens was still there. Yeah. Take another wide receiver. You took a arguably the strongest part of your team is the running backs, which is a joke in part because your team sucks so badly, but also your running backs aren't bad.
There's a lot to discuss here. To sit there and say that the Jets took a premium position in running back when they didn't need to, and they could have taken Malik Willis because Zach Wilson wasn't good last year, that definitely screams 2012, 2013, 2014 Jets, right? You pick a quarterback in the first round, and then you go ahead and pick one in the second round next year because Zach wasn't that great early in his career. And now we need a quarterback to make sure that we have a quarterback. Really? That's smart? You think that's really smart? How many people would actually kill the Jets this week? How many fans would go crazy if we had picked Malik Willis this past weekend and he fell to the third round? So please tell me, how is that smart to help the Jets, right? You say we need everything. One Jet fan could agree. We needed wide receiver. We needed offensive lineman. We needed an edge rusher. We needed another running back potentially. We needed another safety, maybe another linebacker. Right? Well, the Jets addressed a lot of their needs in free agency. The Jets drafted a corner, a wide receiver, a tight end, a running back. We did get an offensive lineman, and we got 2 defensive linemen. Please tell me, we need everything? We seem like we addressed it. Running back room is good enough already. It was the strength of our team. Really? Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Ty Johnson, Austin Walter? That's a strength? You know how many passes Ty Johnson dropped last year that killed the Jets' drives? Too many. Tevin Coleman had no touchdowns last year. Nice player. No touchdowns last year. Michael Carter missed 5 or 6 games last year, but he was still great when he was in the game. Oh, but we're fine at running back, though. That's the type of thinking that keeps teams down. When you have a positions group that is good, but not great, so we just don't pick certain positions because we're good at that spot. We don't need to make it that much better. What type of team building is that? Also, is this not an offensive generated league? We want to have a great defense, but what happened to the Bills' great defense last year? 13 seconds, they couldn't even make a stop. This league is led by offense. You need to score points and move the ball. You need as many skill positions for your quarterback as possible. That's what you do when you have a young quarterback like Zach Wilson and you want him to make the next step. That's what you do. You don't sit here and draft defense. That's what Rex Ryan did. What did Rex Ryan do in 2011? He wanted Nnamdi. He wanted to draft Wilkerson. He wanted to draft all the defensive players, and we completely abandoned offense and Mark Sanchez and let it all fall to hell. It could have fallen to hell regardless, but at least you got to give him a chance. How can you sit there and say that? And to start off your argument with the Jets are terrible, they suck ass. That's not even a legitimate, you call yourself a legitimate analyst coming out with that saying the Jets suck ass. That's why their draft is terrible. What? Where's the legitimate conversation? They added guys that they had on their top 50, top 100 of players on their board. They added half of them, more than half of them, in 7 picks. 7 picks, all within the top 4 rounds of the draft. They were done by 1 o'clock. You can have 7 players, 1 pick per round. You're supposed to get good players anyways. Anyone ever say that when the Dolphins had 3 first-round picks? Or when the Texans had multiple picks? Oh, you're supposed to draft well anyways if you're going to pick that high. Well, we've seen historically the Jets don't pick that well. Idzik 12, anybody remember? Only one player was on that team within 3 years after that draft. One player, and he's out the league already. None of the Idzik 12 are still playing, I believe. Just because you haven't met a lot of picks doesn't mean you make the right picks. This is the draft. This is what happens. You got to do your homework on players. You got to make the studies. You feel good about a player, you go up and go get him. That's what we did. There's still plenty of football to be played. So listen, we could still be wrong. We could feel great about this draft, then it could all fall apart. But to say the Jets had a terrible draft and give those reasonings. Do you want to have a serious conversation? Do you actually watch the Jets? Did you actually know the Jets had one of the highest amounts of money on injured reserve? Highest amounts of money on injured reserve. By week 2, we already lost Carl Lawson, Mekhi Becton, LaMarcus Joyner, and a lot of guys were already banged up. With the youngest roster playing in the league. Lots of rookies and young players playing everywhere. Getting real quality starts. We definitely got rolled. We had the young coaching staff trying to adjust to how to win games and do all that stuff like that. Development process. It was painful to watch, but they started to turn it around and get it together. You have a lot of young players now on the Jets that have a full year of real experience on the field, winning some games, playing tight games down to the stretch, but they showed progress. Against the Bills, we were holding it down. We couldn't score. We were getting strangled because by that time we had wide receiver 5, 6, 7, and 8 on the roster playing reps, high reps. You're not going to have a chance that way. So now you've basically put all those starters from last year that got solid snaps, solid experience, and that some fans tend to overrate. Now they're depth chart players because we got premium positions. We are not a top-heavy depth chart anymore. Football still has to be played. Football still has to be played, and that will tell it all. But please present real arguments as to why this team is going to be bad next year. They shouldn't be bad. If they are bad, we have bigger problems. But for now, the conversation's got to be, wow, they actually added a lot of premium positions on their roster. The Jets, the team that has never had real big premium position players, only a little flash in the pan here and there. Now they've got bona fide position players at every single important roster spot that helps you win in this league on both sides of the ball. Let's go Jets, baby.